you can be in the military and be queer. Like, that's normal. I know so many queer people in the military.
Hi, and welcome to the Queer Vision Podcast. I am Becca, and today I sat down with Link Nevermore. Link talked to us a lot about their experience in the military, how they went into the military, their experiences growing up, and how they figured out that they weren't genderqueer, they were trans. So it's a very fun conversation, a very enlightening conversation. I learned a lot about the Marines and the military. And how they experienced life and how things have changed since they were younger. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Okay, so usually what we do is we just have you go ahead and start with your name, your pronouns, and anything you'd like to share.
My name is Link McIntosh, or Link Nevermore, as most people know me. My pronouns are he, they.
Okay. So you do drag.
Yes.
What got you into drag?
I was in Okinawa, Japan with the Marines at the time because I was in the Marine Corps. And I decided that I was going to go to a pride event on Kadena, which is the Air Force base there.
Okay.
And you had to buy a ticket to go to see April Corinne from RuPaul's Drag Race. I think she's a Dominican queen or from Puerto Rico, something like that. She was awesome, by the way. That was forever ago at this point. But I met a sergeant who had become my drag mother later on, but that sergeant drove me back to my shop at the time, and then we friended each other on Facebook and whatnot. And then later on, I had been posting on TikTok, as one does back in 2019, and I decided that I was going to post an OC character of me taping my chest for the first time. And my friend that had been my friend at the time saw it and was like, hey, you should try being a drag king. So I was like, okay, I know what RuPaul's Drag Race is. What is this? So yeah, that's how that started.
I love that. So you just kind of jumped right into it though.
Yes, kinda. And then I met Sabrina Sass, who most of us know in the North Carolina area. Ironically, Sabrina was also in Okinawa at the time. So
that's fun.
That's how we met each other. So.
And how long ago was this?
2019.
Okay, so you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah. What year are we in now? Yeah.
2026.
Yeah. A long time at this point. Yeah.
Your face. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
No, that's so cool. And okay, we're going to bounce around a little bit because I have some questions then. So you were in the Marines.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Oh, so when I first joined, when I went in, I identified as gender fluid because I didn't know what trans was fully at the time. My recruiter didn't really care about that because I was from Washington State, the other side of the world, but you know what I mean. And it was fine, like boot camp, unfortunately, because we had in our sister platoon, there was a trans guy. He got kicked out because he was trans, because Donald Trump was still the president at the time. It was his first term. So there was that whole thing there.
First debacle.
Yes. Didn't say I was trans. I didn't say anything about it because I was like, I want to stay in the Marine Corps. So went through boot camp, did all that. That was fine. Did all my training and then hit the fleet. And once I got to the fleet and I came out as trans, it was a little difficult because a lot of people don't realize you have to jump through so many hoops to start like hormones and all this stuff. You have to go through the rank structure and fill out paperwork to send up your chain of command. So I had to do paperwork with medical, then send it as a package to my chain of command for them to approve it. So a lot of these older gentlemen who were not aware of what trans was or only knew it as, trans women, not trans men at the time, because it was 2019, 2018 timeframe, they a lot of the times were really confused, or because I was the only trans person in our whole unit, which was like a lot of people. It was like, I was the 1% of the 1%, because the Marine Corps is only 1% of, the military branches.
Right.
But I only had a couple issues depending on people, because there was you have the range of the super Christian, hardcore, rightist, who's
Yeah.
like, and then as one does, and then I had the super cruel people who were like, yeah, this is awesome, you do you, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But past the few people that were like extremely rude and stuff like that, I didn't have like major issues. The only thing
Good.
that I didn't get approved on was like getting top surgery while I was in Okinawa, because the naval base doctor's office they had, the big naval base office, didn't have a proper surgery area for that and didn't have a surgeon who knew how to do that kind of top surgery. They
Okay.
knew
Okay.
what the
For
other,
reasons for
yeah,
reasons for that not to happen, that is the best reason.
understandable, yeah.
Okay.
But I got to do testosterone when I was there. Like, they let me do testosterone, but that was it, which was
Okay.
fine. Like, that wasn't like a big deal. But I knew some people that, because we had a trans group that would meet up, I think it was like once a month when we were there. And the other trans guy that was there, he wasn't able to do hormones because his chain of command didn't let him, because he was part of a more forward active group,
Okay.
because he got to deploy to like Iraq and other places, because Okinawa is known as like a big transition area. It's like in the middle of everything, so you can go to multiple locations really
Okay.
fast. But my unit, because I was supply, was not a forward unit, so I just stayed in Okinawa.
So, okay. So what I'm hearing is from their reasoning for both of you, it was kind of more of like a safety thing of like,
Yeah, like you
okay,
can't get certain medicines and stuff like that, but it also kind of depends on the discretion and case of the person. Unfortunately, now though, because of the Trump administration, obviously there are no trans people. If you
right.
identified as trans at all, you were skadooted out of all of
Yeah.
military branches, unfortunately.
Which is
But
so dumb because I've seen it too, where it's like they just kind of did it without knowing what the consequences are going to be if they didn't.
well,
Like
there was also like people who had been in for almost 20 years. They
years.
were like had months left until their retirement and then got kicked out and can't do their retirement now.
Yeah. Weren't there people whose retirement got messed up too? Just like in general, they were already retired and their retirement got messed up.
Yeah, it's like I now with the VA or Veterans Affairs, I can't even get on hormones again because the VA doesn't cover it now. Yeah, it's a whole debacle. It's bad right now, but
Okay. So Trump is dumb and he fucked up a lot of stuff. He still is. We know that.
we don't like the orange Cheeto. We know.
We know. We know. Okay. So it seems like your experience wasn't bad. Like you like with that with your transition in the military, it feels like you're like, hey, yeah, it was kind of cool. Like I did the thing. And it seems like you were a lot more supported than I would have expected
Yeah,
from the outside.
yeah, a lot of people think that you don't get supported. And yeah, there was like scenarios when I had like one really bad person happen, but my gunnery sergeant at the time literally removed him from our shop. So I mean, that's a good thing because, like it was weird because he was a black gentleman and he decided one minority going against another minority, and I was like,
Makes sense. Makes sense.
why?
No. And I think a lot of it does come to discomfort in power. Like we've talked about this a lot of
Yeah.
like we see a lot of like infighting in the queer space too of like, well, no, trans people aren't queer. It's fine. Like let's just set them over there and let's not like let's ignore they exist because it's a protection mechanism, I guess. And I understand it. That doesn't mean it's okay. Like I don't know. I understand where it comes from. I understand the thought process. Doesn't mean it's good and doesn't mean I agree with it. But I do see that a lot of like, hey, I'm a white woman, but I'm still a woman. That means I should be putting down trans women? No. Like, we don't hold any power above people. And I think we try and like create that power, even though we're all literally oppressed. And I know I'm rambling at this point, but I know what I'm trying to say. And my brain's just not verbalizing it.
That's valid. Me too. Yeah. It's
Anyway,
just, but yeah, you do get a lot of support. It just depends on the scenario and where you are. At least back back in the day when us fellow team members were allowed to be in the military.
Yeah. And so when did you leave the military?
I got out in 2019.
Okay.
It was August of 2019. I had been doing drag for probably 6-ish months.
Okay.
And then I came back to the States on the other side of the States, but yeah, to get out of the military at the time. So,
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
yeah, because when you get out, they send you to whatever base your home of record is closest to, whatever major base. So you'll either go to Camp Lejeune, which is here in Jacksonville, or to Camp Pendleton in California. And then you'll go from there to whatever your home location is.
Okay. Do they do that? Wait, do they only do that if you're like out of the States?
Yes, usually, yeah. Because a lot of people not everybody, but a lot of people that are in the military, when they're getting out, you do like this transition to get out of it, like class thing. At least in the Marine Corps, you do. I don't know about the other branches. Don't quote me on that. But at least in the Marines. And then you do the class.
Mhm.
They're done. Like, they're just like, yeah, go find an apartment or a place to live before
Gotcha.
you get out of the barracks, if they're still in the barracks at the time. Because a lot of the times, people that are in longer tend to have families
Right.
and their own homes, that kind of stuff. Not all Marines stay in the barracks the whole time.
Right.
Usually, it's only if you're like overseas, you're on deployment all the time for the grunts and stuff like that. But you
No,
just
that
get
makes sense.
out. But I also got out early because medical reasons. I mean, it was convenience of the government, but it was still medical. So I got out before I was supposed to, unfortunately.
So you liked it? Like you wanted to stay?
I did want to stay, but because in boot camp I had a stress fracture in my hip, which then turned into tendinitis, which is now a fun neurological issue. Yay, good times. Anyways, I still have body pain and hip pain, which
Right.
is sucky for a 29-year-old, but it happens. And because I couldn't do like rifle training and stuff like that, like the requirements of being a Marine, the government was like, time to get out. Hey, hooba hooba, it happens. It happens to a lot of people. It's normal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely know that. I know. So my fiance is in the Air Force, and I don't know 100% what the class is at the end, like what all they have to go through, but I do know that they have like basically the internship is kind of what they call it, of like 6 months, and it's like, hey, we're gonna try and fit you in with like a civilian job or try
Yeah,
out a
it's
few
like
things.
a transition class, and
Yeah.
they teach you things and make sure you know what you're doing before you get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike, the Vietnam era or like even the 90s era of military where they were like, you're done and just kick
Yeah,
you out into the
exactly.
world. They don't do that anymore.
That's good.
They help you at least a
That is
little
good.
bit. If
And
you
it does suck. It does suck so much that so many people get hurt while they're in the military too. Like, I mean, like, I know our bodies are going to deteriorate anyway, and you're kind of in the military, like the best years of your life. And so you're going to transition into slightly hurting a little more as you get older. We know that. But like the amount of things that like my fiance has come home and been like, yeah, my back hurts, but it's hurt since blah, blah, blah. Or like, yeah, my sinuses haven't quite been right since that one time we had to get gassed. And like, that was the time I breathed the best. And I'm like, that messed with your sinuses, babe. And he's like, yeah, but I wish I could be gassed again so I could breathe again. And I'm like, that's not how it works. That literally probably scarred your sinuses. And then he's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm half blind in one eye. I'm like, what do you mean you're half blind in one eye? I found that out like 6 months into us dating. Oh, it's because of some laser that like made it so that now he can't see. I'm like, what?
That's are like a lot of the times with like people being like, yeah, I was at the range and now I had this constant ringing in my ear. It's like, that's not normal. In
That's not
fact,
normal or healthy.
that's not good.
Just so you know.
Oh, when I'm standing around and I'm not wearing shoes and my feet fully touch the floor, babe, you're flat footed and that's not a good thing either.
As a fellow flat footed person, yes, I agree. It is uncomfortable and it is not good for you.
Right. It's like when I joined the Marine Corps, I think I was like 95 pounds. And the packs alone they give you, like the
Oh, yeah.
gear that you get, is like 120 altogether. And I'm like, that's why I broke. I know that. But
Yeah.
like,
But you did it. Look
yeah,
at you. Yeah.
if
Why
if
did you want to go
my
into the Marines in the first place?
okay, so we're gonna get a little sad here.
Okay. You also don't have to say anything. Like, you don't, like,
No,
anything you don't want
no,
to say, don't say it.
I'm not uncomfortable sharing
Okay.
things because my experience can help people with similar experiences, you know? That's at
Yeah.
least how I look at it.
I
So
agree.
when I think I was 8, I went into foster care because I had shitty home life crap when I was a child. Not going to go into those details, but 8 years old, I went into foster care. At 10, I was adopted by my foster mom. Loveliest woman ever. Love her to death. She passed away when
Oh,
it was 2015, so about 10 years ago now, but I was just about to be 19. So I hadn't graduated high school yet. I was about 6 months into senior year. She passed away. It was like Christmas or whatever. So it was like that time frame, like you were still early in school before graduation. When that happened, of course, I finished school, but I met my recruiter who he had this like beanie hat that said Marines on it, and I thought it was cool. So of course I was like, what do I need to do to get that hat? And
it was
Washington
all for the
State
hat.
is it was for the hat. Yeah. No. But I, at the time, didn't know what I was going to do because, one, my mom was a foster parent and she was older. So she was born in 1950, if that gives any context of how old
My
she
dad was born in
was.
1950.
Yay, the 1950 babies. We love baby
Yay.
boomers. Some of them, not all of them, but you know what I
Some of
mean.
them.
Some. But my mom was very loving. My oldest sister, her biological oldest daughter, is a lesbian and married and lives in Seattle.
Love
She's like
that.
a Seattleite designer of houses, like rich lady. She's cool. But that kind of stuff. And my mom, the reason I knew what drag was because my mom and me, when I was younger, would watch episodes upon episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race. We
Love
knew
that.
what drag was. My mom loved drag. She used to claim that when she was younger in Seattle that she learned makeup from drag queens. That's what she learned. That's how she knew makeup and skincare and everything was from
I love
drag
that.
queens. So, she was very open about like all that stuff. She didn't understand. The one thing she didn't understand was bisexual. She didn't care if you were trans. She didn't care if, you liked women or if you liked men, whatever. She didn't care. She didn't understand bisexual. And that's okay.
A
She didn't
lot of
understand
boomers don't understand bisexual for some reason.
yeah, she didn't understand that. She was like, you can't like both, but everything else was fine.
Just a weird place to draw the line, but that's okay.
Yeah. So at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do. And the recruiter had told me like I could go to school and stuff after. I didn't have to stay in long periods. I would have housing, I'd get paid, all this stuff. Sounded like a good opportunity for a young adult who had lost a lot because
Right.
of someone passing away. Like when my mom passed away, we lived in a big house that was like a 3-bedroom, like Rambler style, big house. And everyone knew us. The whole community knew us because my mom was a foster parent, like a good foster parent, not like the kind that just get a foster kid
Yeah.
and have them for the money. She
Right.
took care of the kids, welcomed back even runaway foster kids, that kind of stuff. She was like the heart of our community kind of woman, but she passed away and I had nothing besides one of my sisters who also had just lost her mom. So it was like being a young adult, was like, this is my best scenario is to join the military and go from there. So about 6 months after graduation in February of 2017, I went to boot camp, joined the Marine Corps. That's the whole reason I initially joined the Marine Corps, was because my mom had passed away and I didn't want to do nothing. And like in my head, at least, if you believe in spiritual stuff, she's watching down on me constantly, not constantly, but you know what I mean? I
Yes.
didn't want to fall into a state of depression where I didn't do anything with my life and just, go from there. So I did something that would get me to travel and go places and stuff because my mom wanted me to do stuff. She wanted me to succeed. So, like, she adopted me when I was 10. Like, most people don't get adopted at that age.
Right.
It's usually children who are younger, like, 6 and
Babies
under
to, yeah.
is the most adopted age range. So I was lucky enough to have someone who wanted me to succeed in life, and I didn't want her to be disappointed in me. Not that she would have been, but And also, if I didn't do the Marine Corps, I wouldn't have moved to North Carolina or anything like that. So,
Right. No, I really like that. I mean, okay, obviously, like, there are ups and downs to military life, and there are ups and downs to our military in general. But I do very much like that it gives people the opportunity to grow and encourages you guys to grow. Like, anybody that I've seen in it, like Justin, my fiance, is a trainer. Actually, he just now he's a scheduler, but he was a trainer, and so he did a lot of like classes for people to make sure that they were mentally healthy, and say, hey, this is how, if you're struggling, this is what you can do. And so, like, I do very much appreciate that. Obviously, like, we could get into the, well, maybe if our government took care of people and there were more options, I don't know, to get housing, or, it would be great.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Care,
It's just, don't get me wrong, like, TRICARE is good only because you're active duty. TRICARE doesn't follow you when you get out, because
Oh, it
once you go
doesn't?
into no, TRICARE is the main healthcare for the military. Active duty and or retirees. I am not retired, obviously. Retirees usually have to be in for 20 years. So that's like a minimum requirement.
Yeah.
Or you're medically retired, which is different. Like, because mine was something that they can't really like look into hardcore because it's a nerve issue. Unlike the military members who get limbs blown off or they go
Right.
blind because of Agent Orange or, that kind of stuff.
All the other.
Yeah, like the hardcore people who've seen combat, that kind of stuff. If they're scenarios like that, they get medically retired, which then, yes, they are still on TRICARE, still on that stuff. Veterans, on the other hand, we get to join the fun VA club or Veterans Affairs Club, which is not the best thing in the world. I mean, yes, I get free health insurance, but only health insurance.
Right.
I have to beg to get vision done a lot. And because I live more than 2 hours away from a big health facility that's part of the VA group, it's really hard to get good medical coverage because the community care stuff that they send you to is the lowest of low star facilities they can send you to.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the description.
It's like, like I got, as most of our friends in the drag community or people who follow me on the social medias.
Yeah.
Friends that I had wrist surgery because I fell putting up curtains at my house. And the facility I went to didn't send me for an MRI after the x-ray because whoever looked at the x-ray didn't see that the bone looked shorter than it was supposed to, which is bad. And then I had posted
How did they
about
not see
it.
that? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Back up. Pause. Rewind. How did they not see that? Is that not okay? Wait a minute. Could that be like medical malpractice, or is that literally something that could be easily missed?
I think it was malpractice, and or because the facility I went to has a lot of brand new people from the health schools, like new graduates. I think it's an urgent care. It's not somewhere you go for primary care. And the few primary care people they have don't go to a constant doctor. They go to different transitioning people that are only there for like a couple months and then they get out and go somewhere else. So I know that the girl who looked at it was a brand new nurse practitioner, not an actual doctor. So she probably just looked at it and was like, nah, that's normal. You're fine. You probably only sprained it. Even though, come to find out later, it was a non-displaced fracture, which is very bad, but it happens. But hey, the VA paid for it. So it's fine. I mean, months later, it's almost been a year since the initial injury, but whatever. I didn't have to pay for it, so it's okay.
You just had to experience the pain. No biggie.
At least I can move my wrist. I have physical therapy in It's the first. So in 8 days. So that's a
Dude, physical therapy is great. Like,
at least it's through people I know who are good physical therapists. The community care place they send us for Jacksonville, like I'm going to the best, like the surgeon I had and all of them, fantastic, great people, love them. Just everywhere else sucks.
understood.
It
I just,
happens.
okay, we could talk for hours about medical bullshit for sure. I know we could. I did want to go back to something that you had said earlier, that when you were in the military earlier, you identified as gender queer because you didn't know what trans actually meant. Can you tell me a little bit about that and that process and what you define as trans?
So, okay, it was like 2015
Okay.
to 2017 timeframe. So it was just about to be 2016 actually, because it was like December. Well, it was more like November 2015 when I moved. So my mom had gotten to the point where she was on hospice, which is not fun. But at that point, we had to sell our big house to move in with my sister because my mom was no longer able to live with us at the time. At the time, I had assumed I was probably a lesbian, as most trans people experience at least once in their life. Let me correct myself. Most trans men experience in their life. To non-binary people who are mainly female at birth. We all go through it, I have to say, because I feel like most of us do.
Yeah.
And it happens. It's part of our experience. But so when I moved, I had made new friends, and one of them had said that gender fluid was where they didn't feel like a man or a woman. So I was like, that's me. I don't feel like I'm a woman or a man. And because it was 2016, non binary wasn't very well known because we didn't have, I mean, we had the internet, but we didn't have the internet
I
in
mean,
LA.
we did have the internet.
But
It was 10
not,
years ago, but we did have it.
yeah, we didn't have the internet like we do now. And we didn't have such open ways of finding out things early on in life back in the day, you know? So I was like, this is me. But I had joined the military, gone through all that, hit the fleet, and I was in Japan. And of course, I think, who was it? It was one of the drag queens on RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't remember exactly which one at the time, but I had been following them on Instagram, and they came out as transgender. So of course I was like, oh, what's this mean? And I looked it up, and I was like, that makes sense. And then non-binary is more of a thing too at the time, because that's when the non-binary like knowledge came out, more so in the 2017 time era of life for most of us nowadays. But so I had done research on it, and I was like, oh, this is me. This is, and then I figured out that you could take testosterone and other hormones to transition into feeling like more like yourself, like, coming into your own body and being like who you wanted to be, And I was like, I don't like how I look. I don't like, parts of my body. I don't like my voice, the normal,
Right.
you're figuring out stuff of your young adulthood. And I know some people experience that when they're younger,
Right.
at least nowadays, because they have access to the internet, which has multitudes of people and experiences and everything, So a lot of people that you see online or on TikTok nowadays, they're like, oh, and they experienced it way earlier in life. My generation, us born in the zillennial 1997 to whenever, we didn't quite experience that because of our time frame of growing up.
I think having the definition of something, having an example of it gives you, well, that's what I'm feeling like that. We didn't get that. We didn't get that experience as much.
So like, it could be earlier too, probably like, I want to say 95 to like 2003, like our time frame of adulting and like growing up and finding out things was so different from kids today, teenagers now. That was like, I experienced it when I was a bit older. So I was like 20 when I started my testosterone and all that stuff. That's when I learned that stuff. And of course, like now I know all sorts of stuff about it. I know all sorts of things,
Right.
because I'm an adult. But yes, that was like, I found out from someone who knew more stuff than I did, probably because their parents gave them more access to the internet than my 1950s parent did, and then went from there. So
I will say too, yes, having an older parent does definitely change your childhood. Like, I feel like even though I am on the young edge of millennial, I definitely do have a lot more experiences that are similar to millennial because of having such older parents.
it's like, I like to say that I know that a lot of, I'm different because I'm a 97. So, like, we were on the cusp of the beginning of Gen Z.
Right.
But I know so much millennial stuff compared to Gen Z stuff. That's like the difference is I think a lot of 97s, I'm going to say 97s kids, us 97s kids understand that, especially if we had older parents. And just in general, having an older parent kind of makes your mindset different.
Very different.
I think. Because sometimes I don't even understand millennial jargon and I understand like the generation before that. So it's like Gen X or whatever it is.
Gen X.
Yeah. So I'm like, sometimes I'm like, we'll be joking and I'll be like, okie dokie. And people are like, why are you saying that? I'm like,
I don't know. Because
guys,
I have adult parents. What's wrong
it's
with
like
you?
my mom was born in the 1950s. Think Fallout themed lifehood as a kid. Bread and butter.
Yep.
Understandable, But I think it's cool that having an older parent that understood though. Like I don't know how she would have felt if I came out as trans back then. Because I tried to explain that I was not a boy and I was not a girl with the gender fluid stuff. But, like, she was super sick at the time. So, like, she didn't have the best cognitive ability in the first place. I like to think, because she was accepting of everyone, that she probably would have been like, yes, let's change your name and all this stuff early on if she would have known. But, this is normal things.
No, that's totally understandable. And I do like that you had those conversations with her, even though like you didn't get to fully have the conversation.
Yeah. I was also still like
early on
adulthood,
But you
young
felt safe having those
18-year-old.
conversations with her, I think is like the biggest thing. Like I like that you had that experience because I feel like that's not a necessarily common experience, especially in the foster care system.
But a lot of them are super hard right Christians who do it for money, which is not good. Not everyone is like that on whatever deities you believe in, but not all of them are like that. But
however, there are enough people.
Majority of the foster care system is super hard right.
Yes.
Christians.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay. In my brain, the way that, I mean, obviously I know like fostering a child is a lot more effort than like having a family when it comes to like drag, but it does still kind of feel like that to me. Do you view, as somebody who has been in the foster care system, who has experienced like coming into a new family, do you feel like they are similar at all creating your drag family?
Yes, I like to call it forced adoption. But I mean, so for me, I am a drag father, as most of our drag community knows. Few of my children, Vectus, Levon, and the few others that I have, like Arcadia and so on, I love them.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Like, I like to think that, I mean, in general, as a queer community, and as people, because human nature, we like to create our own families. So we kind of like force adopt friends that we consider family, because that's just humans like connection. That's just how we are. We like that stuff. It's human nature. It's part of our biology. For me, I think because I knew what getting into a new family was like and stuff, I kind of gave myself the mindset as when I have friends who I think would be good at something, or, I was like, hey, you should probably try this because I think you'd be great at it, being like, but you could be part of my family, that kind of stuff. It's not like me like being like, you should join me. You have to like be
Right.
you have to use the Nevermore last name. Obviously, no, you don't. You don't have to associate with me at all. Anything like that. I'm not always the best judge of character. I know that personally because I'm a service twink. So,
None of us
like,
are.
my
None of
brain
us are
just
good.
is like, cool. And then I realize you're like, not cool. So I'm like,
Been
that
there.
kind of stuff. It happens a lot. It happens
Yeah.
in the community all the time.
That just means we're trusting people. That means that we see the good in people.
Yeah,
That's all
we
that
see
is.
the good in people, and sometimes that's not always the best thing, but it happens. We learn from our mistakes.
Or we don't,
Yeah, some people don't. Anyways, besides the point. But yeah, I still consider, like, I know, like, Arcadia, for example. Arcadia is older than me. Not drag-wise, but age-wise. Arcadia is older than me.
Right.
And for me, like, that doesn't matter. Like, you can do drag at any age. Appropriately, obviously. But, I still consider Arcadia, like, in the mindset as, yes, I introduced them and told them they need to do drag, to try it at least, that kind of stuff, to being a friend more set or like an older sibling when we're not in drag scenarios, because that's like a respect thing. Or like with Koei, I know we're not like officially drag family, but I still consider Koei like a drag sibling because like we don't talk all the time because we're busy, but like, when we're at events where we hang out, we talk to each other, that kind of stuff.
The connection.
Yeah, like we connect and we have similar tastes in music and drag performance wise and that kind of stuff. Obviously, whenever I see like Instagram posts or on Facebook or whatever posts of things involving shows that Koei's doing, I'll repost them, spreading the word of the drag gospel, as some of us like to say.
That's it, drag gospel.
Drag gospel.
Love it.
That kind of stuff. So, and I mean, yeah, sometimes you lose members that you had once thought were super hardcore in your family or your friend group. But also, I think that's because, one, people have lives. Two, we're adults and we move on. Like, sometimes you just can't constantly be in touch with people or get along with people mindset wise, or people change interests. It happens.
Yeah. And that's what happens with like blood families as well, right? Like
exactly.
I feel like there's been so many times where like my brother and I hated each other growing up, and then it was like, oh, I miss you, and now it's like, okay, I talk to you every other month. I see you once a year. We live in different states, but I think that's still healthy, right? And then there are some people that are like they're with their siblings all the time, right?
Yeah, it's like
everyone has a different experience.
I have a best friend who she's more like my sister, but I've been best friends with her since I was like first grade, the beginning of first grade. That's when we met each other. And we've been best friends for so long at this point. And she's in Washington State. And like, we understand that we both have lives and that we're busy and stuff. She's flown out to North Carolina a few times, like when I got married to my husband and stuff like that, before we even got married, but just to come visit. And I think she's planning a trip this next year to come visit again, but I want to take her to drag shows. It's going to happen. Because I haven't got to yet, or have me perform, but because unfortunately my husband is a non-people person and doesn't want to leave our house much, so he doesn't go to events because he doesn't like loud music and stuff. He's a homebody. He likes his house, which is fine, but I like
am your husband.
No, that's so funny. No, I do that with my queer friends all the time. I'm like, all right, my husband's not here right now. You're my placebo platonic partner right now, so I'm safe. We do that all the time.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it's normal stuff.
No, Kelly. Normal.
Yeah, friend things. But, and it's like, I have understanding of that too, because not a lot of people like loud music or are brave enough to, especially people who grew up in the South, the hard right South, have a struggle with, like, not accepting that they're part of the LGBT community, but wanting to go out and experience being in, like, part of it because it's seen as a bad thing. So, by like parents and stuff. I think because my husband yes, at home we identify as gay men and we're husbands, but with his family and stuff, unfortunately, I have to parade as a wife, which is not my best scenario in my brain. But
Right.
because I have respect for his parents, I love his parents, don't get me wrong. But, they're hard, not his dad so much, but more, Baptist Christian
Got
lifestyle.
it.
So they want their son to have a family and a wife, and that kind of stuff is their mindset, and that's how he grew up. He didn't grow up with an accepting, awesome mom like I did, who was
Right.
like, hey, let's go to these conventions. And hey, I fully believe that my mom would have been like the mom hugs mom, like the moms,
Yeah.
I fully believe she would have been the, like, let me go to these parades in my wheelchair with my oxygen tank and shit. But, like, let me be that mom that just hugs everybody,
I love that.
I like to think she would have been that mom. But, like, there's a lot of people in the LGBT community who grew up in the South who didn't have that. So it kind of depends on your family situation and how they are and where you grew up. Because
Yeah.
some areas like Jacksonville, we have certain places you can be openly free about being gay and whatnot, but it's a Marine Corps town, and Marines don't care so much, but it's the people who've lived here forever who are hard right, good Trump Americans,
Yeah. Good
The
Trump
fun thing,
Americans.
like
Yeah,
we
no,
did
I get that.
have, yeah, we did have an LGBT center out here, but the two gentlemen who ran it ended up moving, so it was like, and now it's
Yeah.
gone, which sucks. But
Yeah. And going back to your husband too, like, I mean, it does suck that he has that experience and that you're put in that situation. But I do think it is important for the queer community to recognize that even if you are out, there are still things that you are dealing with, that it's okay. Like it's okay to say, hey, you know what, I'm out, but I'm still not quite comfortable. Like you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna run with a flag naked through the streets of Raleigh. Like, no, bro, you're fine. Like, it's okay.
a lot of the times, at least in my mindset, it's like retail. It's like working a retail job. People are going to see you because they're buying something. And by your appearance, because that's how humans are, they're going to go, you're either male or female,
Mhm.
sir or ma'am, which happens all the time, normal stuff. And I'm one of those people that doesn't get angry if someone misgenders me, unless it's someone who does it on purpose, where I've explained
Right.
over and over. And the only time I don't do that is obviously my in-laws, because I know they're not going to, because they're too darn stubborn to say the correct pronouns and
Right.
stuff
And at
like
that
that.
point, it's about protecting your husband's peace.
Exactly. It's like either A, he loses his parents because he's going to stand up for me, obviously, or B, I put up with it because, one, they're not bad people. They just don't say the right pronouns.
Right.
Like, I can suffer for a couple hours of being called a woman. Not that I am one, but like,
Right. It's like I think that's very strong of you to be
you
willing
have
to
to
do that.
have the fortitude in life to realize that, unfortunately, as someone who's mainly trans community, non-binary umbrella community, that not everyone's people are going to do it on purpose to piss you off, just because that's how humans are,
Yep.
confrontational, and or they're just only going to see you for a few seconds, and you can put up with it for a few minutes and just
Yeah.
move on with life. That's
Yeah.
your mindset, is you got to think about it like that. Like, you're only going to see them for a few seconds, and then they're probably never going to come back again. And or you're just going to see them because they're a regular at your store or something. It's
Yeah.
not
And then
something
and
you
then you
constantly
try and
have to
correct.
deal with.
Yeah, you try and correct them and you say, hey, I'm going to see you more often than I expected. Actually, this is my pronouns. And then if they're respectful, they can stay. If they're not, then they can leave.
Yeah, because not all humans are super observant. So, like, even if you're wearing pronoun pins or anything like that, they're not in the mindset of, "Oh, I want to look at this person's lanyard with their pronoun pins or whatever," when they're trying to pay for whatever they're buying
Yeah.
at your store. That mindset. Or I'm at Starbucks getting coffee. I'm not looking at someone's shirt to see if they're wearing pronoun pins.
Right. I'm just laughing because assuming any human is going to be observant in the wild is is wild,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. It's like they have their own mindset of, hey, A to B. They're not looking for you unless they are looking for you, that kind of stuff. You just kind of
Right,
have to remember not everyone is observant in that way.
And everyone else has their own inner monologue that is their own whole world. And just
Yes.
because your focus
Yeah.
is on pronouns because it is something you're going through, doesn't mean it's even something everyone has experienced. Some people literally have never even experienced meeting somebody in the wild who goes by different pronouns.
That or like there's some people that I work at Spencer's, okay? Mall store Spencer's will go with, that fun stuff. I love working there. Best job ever. But like even like me working there, I meet Marines all the time who've never been in a Spencer's. So it's like, how? It's like
Literally how?
because they didn't live near anywhere that had a mall.
Okay, no, that actually makes sense because malls went away.
Not all of them, but like,
Yeah, but
like
so many went away.
exactly. Like a lot of malls are gone now. So like it's not as a big thing as malls used to be, like in the early 2000s, 2010s time frame. Certain
I
areas,
lived
yes,
at the mall, man.
yeah, like I work at a mall, but I live in a Marine Corps town. The mall is basically all we have. So it's that, clubs, or drinking. Like this is what we got, It's like that or you're outside walking somewhere. I mean, soon we're getting the Marine Corps Museum, but it's not everyone's favorite pastime walking around museums. So,
No.
or nature walks, But you just got to remember that everyone is not observant. They're thinking point A to point B with whatever mental other things they have going on in their mamba jamba,
Mamba jam. I love that. I love that. And it's so true. And we are getting to the hour mark. Is there anything that you would like to share specifically about your story or advice or anything like that? And also, please share your socials so people can find you.
I don't know. Just remember that you are loved. If you see me anywhere, I do accept hugs. My socials are usually Link Nevermore _ drag _ author, or Link Nevermore is just, you can look up Link Nevermore, you'll find me. You can be in the military and be queer. Like, that's normal. I know so many queer people in the military. Yeah.
I love it. No, this has been a really, really fun conversation and honestly very informative, even for like me who's been talking to how many people every week, right? So this has been a good conversation. I really appreciate you taking time to share your story, and maybe we'll have to have another one so we can talk more about your writing too.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. We had really good conversation about everything else. So
yeah,
we'll come back around.
The military thing was more of the main mindset, so
Understood and appreciated. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. And have a really good rest of your week.
I will try my best.
All right. Toodaloo. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Queer Vision Podcast. Once again, I am Becca, and I sat down today with Link Nevermore. I really hope that you got something out of this. This was a really good conversation, and I thoroughly enjoyed that they understand that everyone has a story that somebody can learn from. So if you have a story, which, oh wait, you're human, you do, you should sign up for a podcast interview because we want to share everyone's story. Everyone is just as important as everyone else. No one is more important than anyone else. So sign up. We would love to hear from you. And if you are a writer or own a business, anything like that, and you want to put anything in the magazine, we would love to have you. So go ahead and go to queerlana.org, queerolina.org, and get in contact. You can send in information. You can find our Discord. You can see our events, literally anything. Okay. Well, it was nice chatting. Bye.